I will start off by applauding the graphic for their courage in inviting me. For reasons which I cannot understand, invitations to speak have dried up. So I was looking forward for an opportunity for my lost voice to be heard. Ladies and gentlemen, we gather here today at a defining moment in our nation's history to share some thoughts on the topic, how Ghana can successfully educate our population for the attainment of desired cultural values, peace, and collective prosperity. This topic resonates deeply with me, as it should with every Ghanaian everywhere. Indeed, it speaks to the heart of what makes us who we are, our identity, our heritage, and our collective aspirations. But may I suggest that before I get you to the meat of the subject, it is important for us to have an honest conversation on where we are as a nation. The promise, the euphoria that characterized our independence some 60 years ago has to a large extent not been fulfilled. Ghana, our homeland, stands at a crossroad. We are confronted with issues that go to the heart of our challenges: steep economic decline, corruption, environmental degradation, particularly from illegal mining, and the erosion of patriotism. Amidst all of these, we live in an emerging culture that prioritizes personal gain over collective well-being. Trust in leadership is very low. Indeed, the latest Afrobarometer survey by CDD has revealed a historic decline in public trust in Ghanaian institutions, with citizens expressing deep concerns over the integrity of state enterprises, state entities, including the Electoral Commission's ability to conduct free, fair, and transparent elections. Indeed, according to the report, public trust has eroded significantly in institutions such as the judiciary, tax authorities, the presidency, and parliament, with particular skepticism directed towards officials perceived as corrupt. 74% of those who were interviewed say corruption levels reached somewhat or lot over the past year. And there's a deepening dependency mindset that threatens our very progress. Ladies and gentlemen, the mindset of dependency is pervasive. Many Ghanaians believe that the solutions to our financial, health, and societal problems lie not in the application of mental resources, nor hard work, nor innovation, but in prayer and divine intervention. While faith is an integral part of our culture, it becomes problematic when it discourages critical thinking, personal responsibility, and accountability. Let me say, no serious observer can deny that a large number of our people believe that an effective way of solving our financial, health, and other societal problems is not by thinking and working, but by appealing to the Almighty. Where else would the notion be taken seriously that a strong economy, food security, or the eradication of preventable disease can somehow be achieved not by the use of our brains, but by praying to God and casting and binding demons? And yet, ladies and gentlemen, this absurdity gets nodded to by a large number of people when it is delivered from our populace in our country. Let us be very clear. The responsibility for the development of this country is solely ours. But ladies and gentlemen, it isn't just about religion. The challenges we face in governance are profound and deeply rooted in a rather tragic mindset. Currently underway is a virtual crisis in Parliament that has led to the indefinite suspension of sittings. Issues at stake go beyond mere procedure and protocol. I believe a deeper crisis lurks beneath: the erosion of integrity, patriotism, nationalism within our body politic. Indeed, when public office becomes a pathway to personal wealth rather than service to the people, we set the stage for undermining our own sovereignty. And when the legislature, the very embodiment of democratic law, ethics, and virtues, exhibits signs of malaise, our sense of optimism as a people plummets. Ladies and gentlemen, corruption has become so pervasive that many Ghanaians consider it as an intrinsic part of our culture and not to be corrupt as a social anomaly. I know a friend, one academic, who briefly entered politics with a clean and virtuous mind, only to be soon alienated and characterized as, unfortunately, unbusinesslike, a refined euphemism for non-corrupt. Apparently, a businesslike politician is one who considers every policy objective as an opportunity to pursue self-interest and considers dollars and property accruing to family and friends as a measure of successful policy implementation. Days of altruism and selfless national service, closely associated with the immediate aftermath of Ghana's independence, have receded far into the distance. I ask, where are the Kwame Nkrumahs? Where are the Mensa Sabas, who, when he was going to be rewarded monetarily for his service to the Aborigines' Rights Protection Society, declined accepting the cash, saying serving his people was a great enough reward for himself, by itself. Rather than emulate the selfless spirit of our heroes, governance is replete with scandals which get worse by the day. And governments do not spare the corrupt within their, do not only spare the corrupt within their own bracket. We hardly hear of disciplinary action against public officials traceable to executive graft, corruption, self-aggrandizement, or unexplained wealth. And even when investigating past officials from the other camp, restraint is noticeably exercised for fear that when they are squeezed too hard, they may retaliate should they return to power. Ladies and gentlemen, indeed, nowhere is the abysmal failure of accountability structures more evident than in the reckless assault on the national environment through illegal mining. The devastation caused to our water bodies, forests, and people's health is immeasurable. But to all of this, government after government have looked away and shamelessly displayed insensitivity, especially in election years. Ladies and gentlemen, the way forward is to transform our mindset, a fundamental shift in paradigm, indeed a new awakening that prioritizes community, country, and citizenship. If Ghana is to compete in the global market of ideas, we must reform our educational mindset. Schools should not be places where students simply memorize answers to pass exams. They must become environments that inspire problem-solving, creativity, and resilience. We need a shift from a focus on grades to nurturing leaders, innovators, and entrepreneurs capable of transforming our economy. Let me just say that all of us have to be troubled by the recent government decision to institutionalize the purchasing of past examination questions, papers, for distribution to students. This must be the very first law. Regrettably, this decision in itself formalizes our reliance on rote learning and memorization at the expense of content comprehension and innovative thinking. We are training our future leaders to repeat or rehash their past, to rely on shortcuts, and to fear failure rather than embrace learning. We are training them to cut corners, to replicate and recite instead of understanding, innovating, and producing. We are lowering the standards of our children's education. Ladies and gentlemen, at the entrance of a university in South Africa, the following message was clearly posted for contemplation, and I quote, "Destroying any nation does not require the use of atomic bombs or the use of long-range missiles. It only requires lowering the quality of education and allowing cheating in the examinations by the students. Patients die at the hands of such doctors. Buildings collapse at the hands of such engineers. Money is lost at the hands of such economists and accountants. Humanity dies at the hands of such religious scholars. Justice is lost at the hands of such judges. The collapse of education is the collapse of the nation." What, ladies and gentlemen, we need is a mindset of innovation which can only be triggered by practical learning and thinking on our feet. Our first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, clearly understood the need for a mindset change. This is sought to instill through the Young Pioneer movement, which was a call on our youth to serve Ghana with courage, tenacity, and loyalty. The Young Pioneers sang a song, the lyrics of which go, and I quote, "O young pioneers, let us unite and serve the land with courage, strength, and loyalty for Ghana, our home, our dear homeland. O young pioneers, we shall march with hearts so true, with Nkrumah's vision guiding us to build a future bright and new. We shall strive for freedom's cause with dedication and with pride. For Ghana, we would uphold the laws with unity and love as our guide. O young pioneers, with one voice and one hand, together we will forge the path to make Ghana great and grand, with discipline and with resolve. Our work shall never cease. For Ghana's progress we will serve and build a land of peace." These words were not merely ceremonial. They sought to instill a sense of duty and selflessness in our young Ghanaians, inspiring a generation that will serve the motherland with pride. It is this spirit we critically need at this time in our history. The concept of national service is commendable, but it must be looked at critically to ensure the building of character in all our youth. In this regard, I strongly advocate that we model our national service on similar ones in Finland, South Korea, Israel, and other nations where graduates and persons aged over 18 serve compulsorily in the military for 1 year. Objective observers commend this as a strategy for building discipline, confidence, and resilience in the service personnel. It is a commitment to country because it builds character and the good sense to look out for one another. It instills accountability. Such a national service nurtures leaders, and my God, we need leaders in our young men and women now more than ever. Leaders, not followers, who would ensure the right thing is done where and when it must be done. Returning to the issue of environmental degradation, even as I speak, there are documentaries showing illegal mining being brazenly conducted near highways in the Amenfi district of the western region of Ghana. Open obstruction, destruction of the environment with impunity, while law enforcement looks on virtually petrified or with their hands tied. This culture of permissiveness in the face of blatant corruption and environmental degradation must end. We must demand more from our leaders and ourselves. We must foster a culture of integrity where public office is a sacred trust, not a shortcut to wealth. Leadership must be seen as an opportunity to protect and secure Ghana's future for subsequent generations, not a pathway for self-service and the reckless dissipation of our resources meant for our children and generations yet unborn. For the sake of this nation, this situation can no longer be tolerated. A total re-education is necessary to curb the indiscipline, insensitivity, corruption, greed, and lack of patriotism. This education must start with a mindset transformation. Nations that have made the transformation from poor and distressed to prosperous and peaceful recognize that a change in mindset is foundational for the achievement of desired values such as patriotism, discipline, integrity, and collective responsibility. They've recognized that while policies and infrastructure are essential, they are not sufficient on their own. Real policy, real progress begins in the minds of the people. I'll give you 3 successful examples. I'll start off with Singapore. One of the most famous examples of national transformation. When Singapore gained independence in 1965, after separating from Malaysia due to deep political and economic differences between the ruling parties, it faced numerous challenges: poverty, total absence of natural resources, and a diverse population with no unifying identity. Within a few decades, however, Singapore transformed itself into one of the world's most developed nations. How did it happen? The transformation was not purely economic. It was deliberate, it was driven by a deliberate effort to reshape the mindset of the people. Under the leadership of Lee Kuan Yew, the government initiated campaigns to instill discipline, patriotism, and a collective sense of responsibility. Singapore's National Courtesy Campaign of the 70s, for instance, aimed to promote courteous and respectful behavior. The Keep Singapore Clean campaign emphasized cleanliness, not just as personal habit, but as a civic duty. These mindset-changing national initiatives were integrated into schools, workplaces, and public places. The result is what we see. Singapore developed a disciplined, efficient, and patriotic population that has been instrumental in the country's sustained success. With respect, responsibility, and national pride instilled in the citizens, law, order, and cleanliness have become second nature to Singaporeans. Mindset transformation inspires and has inspired purposeful actions for desired outcomes. Ladies and gentlemen, according to the 2023 Corruption Perception Index published by the Transparency International, Singapore is one of the 5 least corrupt nations out of 180 countries which were featured. In 2024, Ghana's GDP per capita was 2,381. Singapore's were 84,734. You do the maths and make Ghanaians leaders shy. South Korea is the next example. Another country that underwent a significant mindset transformation in South Korea. After the signing of the Armistice Agreement, that the country will remain divided into North and South following the Korean War, South Korea was one of the poorest nations in the world. Indeed, I'm told that even sand for the construction of the country and anything else is imported from China. They have no natural resources whatsoever. And yet, by the 80s, it had become a model of rapid economic development, a phenomenon often referred to as the miracle on the Hans River. This transformation was not achieved by economic reforms alone. The government recognizes the importance of fostering national unity and a collective sense of responsibility among its people. The country's Samuel Ondong, that is called the New Village Movement, in the 70s, is a prime example. This movement encouraged citizens, particularly in rural areas, to adopt values of self-help, diligence, and cooperation. Villagers were encouraged to work together to improve their communities, and the government provided the necessary support to ensure their success. This movement led to a profound shift in the national mindset, where individuals began to see their personal progress as inseparably bound to the success of the community and the nation. South Korea's focus on education, respect for elders, and strong work ethic continues to drive its success today. It is the world's 3rd largest producer of electronics after China and the United States, and the automotive industry is the 5th largest in the world after China, the US, Japan, and India, as measured by the automobile unit production. When the values of the people are right, the unity and commitment of the citizens become steadfast, and the output of the country is bound to increase. Ladies and gentlemen, in 1960, GDP per capita was similar to Ghana. By the end of 2023, Ghana's, as I said, was 2,322. South Korea was 34,121. The next example is China. China's rapid development has been driven not by economic policies alone, but also by a concerted effort to shape the mindset of its people. In recent decades, China has placed a strong emphasis on the socialist core values, which include patriotism, dedication, integrity, and the respect for the rule of law. These values have been integrated into every aspect of Chinese society: schools, media, public campaigns, and government policies. Wherever a people subscribe to, it is the desired outcome driven by their values and intentional actions that determine the development or stagnation, success or failure. One of the most prominent examples of China's initiative is the Chinese Dream, which was introduced by President Xi Jinping. This vision calls for national rejuvenation and stresses the importance of hard work, unity, and national pride. The concept of the Chinese Dream has been used to inspire citizens to contribute to the nation's development while embracing values of personal responsibility and collective well-being. In schools, students are taught these core values from an early age, and they are reinforced through their education. Public campaigns such as Civilized Behavior Initiative promote law-abiding and respectful behavior in public places. The result is a society where citizens are more aligned with the country's goals and there's a greater sense of responsibility towards the nation. In 2023, Ghana's GDP per capita is 2,381. China, which has a population of only 1.4 billion, GDP per capita is 12,174. Ladies and gentlemen, the examples of Singapore, South Korea, and China begs the question, what must Ghana do? I propose we start with the educational system as the key tool for mindset change. Education plays a critical role in shaping minds. Indeed, nations that have successfully transformed their populations have made values-based education a priority. Part of our problem as a country has been the archaic system where going to school per se is taken for education. Year on year, we have produced graduates that have next to nothing to show beyond certificates. It has been said that education is what remains after one has forgotten everything one learned at school. Indeed, the educational sector is grappling with a mindset problem that threatens our very future. The system has prioritized outward frivolities for the impressionable, like rote learning and exam results, over critical thinking and problem solving. It has given employers the added task of tuning graduates to apply learning in the solution of problems that plague society. We feed our students with theories that are only marginally relevant to our circumstances and allow students to pass through our classrooms and lecture halls with no education passing through them. If Ghana is to compete in the global marketplace of ideas, we must reform our educational mindset. Schools should not be places where students simply memorize answers to pass exams. They must become environments that inspire problem-solving, creativity, and resilience. We need a shift from a focus on grades to nurturing students, innovators, entrepreneurs, and capable artisans with the mentality and capacity to transform our economy. Let me say I'm glad that the new primary school curriculum being rolled out by government, I believe, prioritizes practical skills over theory and rote learning. Our children should grow up knowing that education is not a means to escape responsibility, but a tool to equip them to tackle the challenges Ghana faces. In this regard, I'm reminded of the words of the former US President Theodore Roosevelt, and I quote, "To educate a man in mind, but not in morals, is to educate a menace to society." And we are seeing the effects of this neglect, a nation grappling with social ills not emanating from a deficit in intellect, but a tragic dip in moral values and a collective responsibility. This crisis demands a radical shift in our mindset, a transformation that should redefine our approach to education, which in turn would impact our governance and community. And when we assume a mindset of innovation and integrity, we prepare the young ones to be agents of our progress our nation desperately needs. Our education system must indeed be the first line of defense against our prevailing moral decay. From the earliest stages of education, children should be taught the new Ghanaian mindset, the importance of principles, not just in theory, but through simulation and practical application. It is one thing to learn about honesty in a textbook. It is another to live it through everyday actions, reinforced by the examples set by educators, parents, and community leaders. In other, ladies and gentlemen, to successfully transform the mindset of our population for the attainment of desired cultural values, peace, and collective prosperity, the following stakeholders have crucial roles to play. Let's start off with the educators. Educators play a vital role in this integration process. They are not just instructors of knowledge, they are the mentors, role models, and guides. Their influence extends beyond the classroom, shaping the character and values of their pupils and students. It is therefore crucial that our educators themselves are grounded in the values we hold dear and are provided with the training and resources to incorporate cultural and moral education into their teaching. But educators can't do it alone. There's a role of parents and guardians. The family unit is the primary ministry of education because it's where a child learns values. Parents and guardians must take an active role in this process. The home should be a place where children are nurtured with love, discipline, and respect. It is the responsibility of every parent to instill in their children the values that will guide them throughout their lives. Then we have the role for policymakers. For the integration of culture, values, and morals into our education system to be effective, there must be a concerted effort from policymakers. This is not something that can be achieved through rhetoric alone. It requires careful planning and deliberate action. Educational policy should be designed to include these elements as core components of the curriculum. The development and design of textbooks and learning materials that reflect our cultural heritage, the training of teachers in cultural competencies, and the inclusion of relevant cultural activities in school programs. Moreover, policy must go beyond learning by route to learning for life skills, social inclusion, entrepreneurship, applicable skills and competences for job creation, and to tackle broader societal issues. We must have the courage to speak truth to power, confront corruption, materialism, and moral decay head-on, ensuring that our institutions uphold the values we wish to instill in future leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, building a nation of empowered minds requires a commitment to preserving and promoting our culture, values, and morals, and integrating them into the very fabric of our educational system. Now let's look at the role of public campaigners. Communicators, strategists, producers, directors, writers, actors, and creators are the professionals behind public campaigns that promote values like punctuality, cleanliness, respect for the environment, and community roles. They are essential in conscientizing, conditioning, and informal education effort. Imagine a national initiative that emphasizes the importance of punctuality and working to time schedules, which challenges the notion of Ghana may be time, the local phrase that is used in place of Greenwich Mean Time, when people turn up shamefully late. Punctuality is the politeness of princes, it is said. Punctuality shows respect for others and reflects pride in our commitments. By making a core national value, we shift from a culture of excuses to one of responsibility and dignity. In conclusion, for Ghana, this mindset transformational journey must begin in our schools, which are the bedrock of any society. The role of the educational ecosystem is paramount here, and each stakeholder has a crucial part to play. As we move forward, we must be minded that the strength of our nation lies not in the knowledge alone that we impart to our children, but also in the values that we instill in them. A radical rethink, repurpose, and redesign of our education, starting with mindset transformation for much-needed national character, is the only way forward. From humble preparatory schools to lofty graduate institutions, education in Ghana must build truthful, ethical, purposeful, and useful citizens, innovators, entrepreneurs, and doers in science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and applied humanities, professional, technical, vocational workers, solving problems, making products, and delivering services with integrity, courtesy, and humanity to all. I must say that a very useful start has been made by somebody I admire hugely, Mr. Patrick Ewua, who, as you know, founded Ashasi. Ashasi represents the very best in ethical leadership training, and I think we must commend him for that. He's one of our all-time greats, and unfortunately, I don't think he's celebrated enough. Ladies and gentlemen, let us strive to build a country, Ghana, where our culture and values are not relics of the past, but are living, breathing parts of our present and future. The future of our country depends not just on policies, but on the values we hold dear as a people. By transforming our mindset, we can create a nation that is not only prosperous, but it's a nation rooted in integrity, unity, and a shared sense of purpose and humanity. Ladies and gentlemen, let us choose to lift the flag of Ghana, to take responsibility for our nation's progress, to safeguard the beautiful country where we successfully educate our population for our cultural values, peace and collective responsibility, prosperity, and to build a future that reflects the greatness we know we are capable of. Let us start now with a mindset transformation. Thank you very much.
For more news, please visit our website graphic.com.gh or follow us on Facebook at Daily Graphic and on YouTube and Twitter at GraphicGH.
Subscribe now.